Well, folks, do we have a lot to get into in today's video? Everybody's wondering. A lot of people are confused by this market right now. They're looking, they're like, man, I made a lot of money over this past few months. Should I take some profits? Other people are looking and like, everything seems to kind of be going up. Are we just going to go back down, right? Am I going to get great buying opportunities a few weeks from now, a few months from now? Maybe I should wait it out, right? Everybody's looking at all these different angles, very confused. In today's video, I want to show you some extremely important things. So if you're trying to make these decisions, you at least have some context to go off of and go by. And I want to share my opinion on kind of what's transpiring here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, by the way, I appreciate every single person that subscribed to the channel. And, you know, where I actually want to start out today's video, okay, is something I just witnessed on CNBC that I think is such an important subject to talk about. Then I want to go through a few things that are going on with the market that I have to show you that are very important. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about greed, okay? And the different forms of greed that I kind of see out there in the market right now. And it might not be the ones you're thinking of, okay? So first up here, I saw this on CNBC, okay? As I was actually preparing this video, I was getting ready to prepare this video. And I'm watching this Scott Wapner guy, and he's basically talking to this guy, and he's saying, you know, everybody's talking about, if you've watched these Wall Streeters for the past month to 2 months, they're all talking about the market needs to go lower, S&P 500 needs to go lower, stocks need to go lower, they're going to go lower, right? It's what they've all been talking about the last several months here, right? And he's like, you know, everybody's talking like this. No one believes in this rally. You know, we're going to have to go lower and these sorts of things. Everybody's expecting lower. And this gentleman was kind of giving some points off of that. And here's what I'll say about this, okay? In this whole big subject about the market has to go lower, like, you know, you're going to get stocks for a way better value in the future. The same thing they've been saying since S&P 500 was many hundreds of points lower than it is right now, okay? You got to understand the cycles of a market, right? And I'll break it down to you like this, okay? So in January 2021, we were in the euphoria stage, okay? This was the end of the last bull, like true bull cycle we had in the market, right? This was the euphoria stage, was a blow off the top. This was when, you know, SPACs were flying high. The most speculative of speculative companies were flying high. The highest growth, like it didn't matter about profits. It didn't matter about net income. It didn't matter about anything, just growth and excitement and hype, right? And that started to break down in February of 2021, okay? That was 2 years ago, and it seems like it was just yesterday. That was 2 years ago now, okay? This is when this market started to break, okay? Then in the fall of 2021, we got into what's called a complacency stage. So this was a stage where it was like, okay, a lot of these stocks have, you know, maybe come down a bit, but we're going to be higher, okay? And these are going to come back, okay? Then we got hit with inflation and the Fed like no one really saw coming, right? Just insane, okay? And so in early 2022, we went into the anxiety stage, the denial stage, right? And we went through all these different emotions. And then by the summer and the fall of 2022, we were in full-scale panic and capitulation, okay? And this is how you saw the greatest companies in the world, whether we're talking the Amazons, the Teslas, the Metas, the Netflixes, Shopify, the greatest companies in the world. You saw their stock prices fall by, what did we see, folks? We saw 50%, 60%, 70%, AMD, NVIDIA, the greatest companies in the world. We saw their stock prices fall by 50, 60, 70, 80%. When you see the greatest companies in the world falling 50, 60, 70, 80%, you are in pure panic. You are in pure capitulation, okay? We're not talking about just the small caps. It was one thing when it was a speculative stocks started falling like that. But when you're talking about the greatest companies in the world, you are in full-scale panic and capitulation. Just no one really like called it that at that time, right? But the truth is, that was full panic and that was full capitulation. That's the only way you get those type of stocks to fall 50, 60, 70, 80%, right? Then we kind of go through the anger phase. And right now what we're in is we've been in kind of like the depression phase. And this was really like December, January kind of in depression phase, right? And now obviously the market started to rally back. And basically we're just in complete disbelief, right? There's no way this is real. And if you listen to the way these Wall Streeters talk, they're all talking in this sort of tone. Like, this isn't real. We're going to go back down. Now, the important thing to understand is this happens every single time you end a bear market. And I'm not necessarily going to say, like, for sure, 100% we're done bear markets. There's always probabilities you have to play in the stock market, right? But the fact is, there's never been an end of a bear market where people said, it's all good from here. it's clear skies. No, they were all still saying this isn't real. They were saying this in 2009. They were saying this in 2020. They were saying this in 2001 and 2002 when the tech bubble bottomed, right? They still felt like it had to go a lot lower. Every single bottoming out of the market, they always said, this can't be real because you're in a disbelief stage and you've gotten just absolutely wrecked along the ride. When you're talking about stock, the biggest companies in the world go down 50, 60, 70, 80%. The greatest companies in the world, the ones that everybody really wants to be in, when you're talking about those stocks fall like that, when you do finally start to rally back, no one believes it. And that's a complete stage we're in at this point in time where no one believes anything at this point in time. Okay, so you got to understand market cycles, right? No, I want to talk about VIX. So VIX is a volatility index, okay? And this basically measures volatility in the market. And usually when you see the market crashing, like VIX spikes up super high, okay? No, I've heard some folks talk about the VIX has lost credibility, no different than some folks feel like the Fed's lost credibility over time, okay? I've got to explain this in the simplest way possible, okay? The bottom line is when it comes to the VIX, you cannot expect these sorts of insane spikes unless you get shocking information out of nowhere, okay? So we saw the VIX in very high ranges throughout much of 2022. Many times it was over 30, right? But the only way you're going to get a VIX to go up to 40, 50, 60, like way up there, right, is if you get shocking information to come out. We got this in 2008, 2009, right? This was like fall of 08 when we were almost going to lose the entire banking system. You saw some of the biggest Wall Street firms out there literally going under, right? That was shocking information. It was like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, really? Like, we're at risk of losing the entire financial sector? Like, that was shocking, right? Right here, this was shocking. Like a once in 100-year pandemic. We're about to shut down the global economy for the next 3 years is what they were talking about. That was shocking information, right? And so everybody thought like we would get some sort of epic, 50, 60 on the VIX. It's just not reality unless you get something so shocking to happen. And so we saw VIX in the 30s. I think the VIX still has as much credibility as it ever has. Why should the VIX spike right now? Like no one's panicking about anything right now, right? Everything's known that's been known. We have still a high inflation, but it's coming down. Like there's nothing like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened. And that's the only way you get the VIX to spike like that. I think the VIX still has much credibility as it always does. And if we ever get something so shocking to happen, then believe me, the VIX will spike back to 40 to 50. But you have to get something insane to happen. And that honestly only comes around every 10 to 15 years. It's not like you just every year you get something so shocking that VIX is spiking to 50 plus. It just doesn't happen, okay? Tesla, Tesla. Check this out, okay? All the indexes are red today. What does Tesla do? Another update, 2.5%. The strength in Tesla is pretty darn amazing at this point in time. Pretty darn amazing. And I've been telling people this as the stock has started to run. The rallies Tesla goes on, it blows your mind, okay? And it will show strength even in a weak market. It's incredible. Like Tesla's a different animal. It's a different animal. And if you think this stock has to react like other stocks, and a normal stock would usually react after it made an 85% move in a 1 month. All I can tell you is Tesla's a different animal. Like you should do a little study on Tesla over time, and you'll learn a little bit about the company. Okay. As far as me, I'm sitting on a 725% gain for Tesla. Am I interested in selling the stock and selling my 1,665 shares anytime soon? The answer to that is absolutely not, okay? Not anytime soon. Not with what Tesla's proven out now at this point in time. In this sort of environment, like I have no reason to, I don't think I have reason to sell these shares ever, to be quite frank. Just ever. Even when the valuation goes back over $1 trillion, which it eventually will do. It's just at this point in time, like Tesla's proven like in a recessionary scenario, they can tear it up with their numbers. They have extreme pricing power, extreme margins, and they just really actually don't really have any real competition, just to be quite frank. It's incredible. The company's just a whole different animal at this point in time, right? When it comes to Meta, I'm up $115,000 on my shares in the public account. Am I interested in selling Meta? Absolutely not. Not even close. Now, it's just like I can't even conceive it for these sorts of stocks. You might say, well, what if you lose some gains? What if the market goes back down and you're only up $55,000 and you lose, $60,000, $70,000 of your gains or whatever? I don't care. As a long-term investor, you don't even. I'm chasing the loaves of bread. I'm not chasing the breadcrumbs, okay? All that other people chase the breadcrumbs, at the end of the day, there's a reason I do what I do. That's all. I'll put it like that, okay? Now, this matters in a significant way because I just showed you Meta, and Meta continues to show strength in this market, right? Which is incredible. Meta was hardly down today, and it was down less than the market was down. That's incredible, right? And you thought Meta could have been down today, right? Well, then you also got this news out. Texas governor unveils plan for statewide TikTok ban. Now, this isn't for all people in general. It's more for state devices, but it just goes back to all this negativity around TikTok right now, right? Now, this matters for Meta, but it might matter for this other stock even more. This other stock is Snapchat, okay? Snapchat made almost a 10% move, I think, on the back of this news here today. And, Snapchat's more of a trading stock. It's not really an investing stock, in my personal opinion. Meta's an investing stock. Meta's a stock you buy, and you buy the dips, and you throw it in the filing cabinet, and you make a lot of money over time. Snapchat, a lot more of a trading-related stock. Until this company can prove out profitability, like sustainable profitability, it's just not that sort of company that's an investable company. It might be eventually, but it's not as of today. It's more of a trading stock, and that's why you see the stock make an insane move on just, this Texas governor, and it makes a 10% move here today, okay? I got to speak about this balloon situation, okay? Everybody's so caught up in the Chinese balloon, and is this going to crash the market or something like that, okay? This is such a silly situation, okay? Such a ridiculous situation here, okay, in regards to this whole balloon, okay, from so many different fronts. So China's all of a sudden mad about we're mad that the state shot the thing down, and it's like, dude, like you're flying it over U.S. soil, like you know what I mean? Like it shouldn't even have been allowed in the first place, right? But the second thing is people are so worried about it taking pictures and videos and all this stuff and doing surveillance, but I'm like, dude, you do realize it's 2023, right? And there's satellites, I'm sure, for the China as well as obviously the States that are flying around constantly that if they want to take a high definition photo of you sunbathing in your backyard, they can do just that, okay? If they want to have a live video feed of your house right now and you driving down the street, they can. I mean, you guys ever seen the movie Enemy of the State from the 90s? Great movie, by the way. If you never watched it, watch that movie tonight, okay? Take the night off, okay? Will Smith, Gene Hackman, great movie, okay? And this movie was made back in the 90s, and it basically kind of dove into, what the CIA can do, essentially, and the ways they can track you and all of this. It's an amazing movie. I don't want to ruin it for you guys. But amazing movie, right? And you think back to what they could do in the 90s. It's 2023. Do you know how far technology has come over the past, 20 plus years? Give me a break. The capabilities they have nowadays is just disgusting. So this whole balloon situation is so stupid, okay? And here's the other thing I was thinking, and I don't know why no one's talking about this, okay? I haven't seen anybody talking about this, okay? Listen to this, guys, okay? Listen to this. This balloon was supposedly 3 buses big. This massive gargantuan balloon, okay? Epically big, okay? You gotta always understand, and I know people love to hate on the U.S. government and act like, our politicians and the government and the military, they don't know what they're doing, this and that, okay? Believe me, these folks are always the smartest people in the room. Always. And they're always trying to get your attention to go somewhere else, but really they're playing this high-level game of chess over here that you don't even understand what's going on, okay? You're going to tell me they let this massive balloon that's 3 buses big just magically fly on U.S. soil? You're telling me they weren't tracking this thing the whole way? You're telling me that? You're telling me with all our technology, with all our satellites, with all our defense programs, they would just let this massive balloon that's 3 buses big just fly around and do its thing, right? Who knows what it was holding? It could have been holding nukes for all we know, right? You're going to tell me they're just going to let them do that? There's got to be a bigger motive here. There's got to be a reason. They probably saw that thing 1,000 miles away and knew it was coming here the whole way and let it go where it was going, right? And then there's so many tactics that you don't even understand or can't even comprehend. They're playing chess on a way higher level than anybody out there. Anybody's we should have shot it down over land and getting all excited about all this stuff. It's like, dude, you don't even understand what the government's up to in regards to these whole situations. They're playing a game that you won't understand for another 10, 20, 30 years now at this point in time. And if you think they never saw that thing coming, that's interesting. I'll just leave it there, okay? Let's talk a little bit about greed for a moment, okay? Greed usually is known as a very negative term, right? And people think about greed as bad, right? And in the old Wall Street movie, the original Wall Street movie, great movie, Michael Douglas's acting was, among the best acting you'll ever see in your life, right? And he plays this character, and basically he goes on this big speech in the movie, and he says, it's basically the greed is good speech, and if you've ever seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, right? The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all its forms, greed for life, greed for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward surge of mankind. And greed, you mark my words, will not only save Teldar Paper, but that other malfunctioning corporation called the USA, okay? And, when you really break it down, it's the truth, okay? If we didn't have greed for all these things, I can tell you, I wouldn't be recording this video right now, right? This technology wouldn't exist. This device that you're watching this video on right now would not exist. None of this would exist. And, to be quite frank, humans would still be dying in the 20s and 30s. Like that would be everybody, right? No one would even, be able to live long. Greed's the thing that's gotten us through all this and gotten us to this point in time, right? That we can, enjoy the lifestyles we live in, those sorts of things, right? Now, and so greed's usually seen as a very bad thing. But what's interesting about greed, especially in relation to the stock market, is they always look at greed from the person that buys stocks really high, right? And so, this guy gets called greedy. The guy that bought Tesla at $400-something, right? And he's like, it's going to 500. This guy gets called greedy. But who doesn't get called greedy, but I look at them as just as greedy, if not more greedy? It's a person that when Tesla was down at $100, $110, was saying, I'm not buying, it's going to 50. It's going to 50. There's some people that were out there, including a lot of people, including a very big YouTuber who will remain unnamed, was talking about Tesla's going to $50 to $60. The amount of YouTube comments I was getting at that time, Tesla's going to $50 to $60. Tesla's going to $40, right? It's never enough for folks. It's never enough for folks. And if Tesla was at $50 to $60, then they would be calling Tesla's going to $30. And if it was at $30, they would be saying it's going to 15. No different than the short sellers and all those folks said Tesla was going to 0. It's never enough, right? These folks are just as greedy, if not more greedy than these folks over here. And now they're starting to pay the price. But this is just a start. They're going to pay a lot bigger price in the future. When I say they're going to pay a lot bigger price, it's not just going to be the mental toll that they didn't take advantage of deals in the market. It's going to be the toll that they're going to be the same ones buying at $400. They will be. I promise you that. Because they're the same type of folks that when the coast looks clear again, everything looks great, the economy looks on track again, it looks like it's Goldilocks time again, they'll be the same folks funneling them in money at stocks that they could have bought for 70 and 80% discounts, and they'll be paying hundreds of percent more, because at that time it will look like everything's fine and it's okay to invest now. Those folks, these people are just as greedy as these folks, but they're probably even worse, to be quite frank. And no one ever calls it out. No one ever calls it out or looks at it from that angle. But I'm telling you, they're just as greedy. They're just as bad, right? You know who else is very greedy? These sorts of folks, right? These folks that just want to gamble around in these stocks, right? And they make these sorts of moves, and these are gamblers. These aren't longs. And what frustrates me is sometimes the bears, they'll put the bulls into this camp, and they act like us longs, we're the ones that are messing around with BBBY stock and other stocks, okay? I can almost guarantee you, that's a lot more traders on Wall Street doing that type of crap, okay? They're the ones that are actually doing a lot of that activity. They try to blame it on retail. Oh, look at retail's dumb money. They just sent Bed Bath & Beyond up 90%, okay? Were there some retail in there? I'm sure there was. Some gambling retail folks that are trying to play that for some, bigger pop and things like that, right? But I can guarantee you, the majority of folks that are actually behind that move, likely Wall Streeters. You got to understand how many trading funds are out there, how many hedge funds that for a little, $10 million position could send that stock spiking like that. Believe me. And then they try to flip out of it in a coordinated manner that, is a nice little chess move for them and make themselves maybe a quick double up of the double up of their money, right? Make themselves a quick 100%, 50%, whatever it is, right? And then go ahead and flip out of that, and boom, you just made a nice, sweet profit. And so, these folks that are playing these bankruptcy companies rather than real companies that have great, discounts on their stocks right now, it's a little silly, but at the end of the day, it's just another form of greed, right? But let's not categorize the longs, the bulls, into this category that's playing Bed Bath & Beyond stock. We're not them, okay? We're doing our own dang thing, okay? And at the end of the day, I'll show you, a good example of just staying the course, not getting too caught up into these, insane, like, at the end of the day, the best way to invest is run valuations. Where do you think company's net income's going over the coming years? What are you paying for that company, right? Are you getting a good deal on that stock? Keep it simple in this game. And my dividend-only account, right, is a great example of just keeping it simple, and look at how well this account has done. It doesn't take up a ton of my time. And look at the gains on this account. We're sitting on $76,000 in gains. This account's only a few years old. I think I started this account maybe 3 years ago, roughly or so, right? Sitting on $76,000 in gains, and that's after the market got hammered last year, right? This doesn't even account for all the dividends received in this account over time, right? Which I can go ahead and invest that money back into stocks. And almost every single position's green except for WBA. That's the only one that's red in this account, right? And I just keep it real simple, right? This account doesn't create any stress for me. You know how much time I ever spend stressing about this account? Zero time, okay? And now I'm basically funneling in $250 a week now. I just started this past week, and I'm going to buy $250 worth of dividend stocks every single week in this account. It's a no stress. I just, keep up to date with the companies, listen to conference calls, what are the earnings. Boom, okay? Simple can be very, very profitable in the stock market. You don't have to get caught up in all this stress and then, trying to play this hot stock. And next thing you know, the next day it goes down 50%. You're like, oh crap, I just lost 50% of my money on that. Same exact thing I'm doing with the Patreon portfolio, which, by the way, if you want to basically be able to see and support the channel and be able to see all the buys and sells I'm doing every single week inside the Patreon portfolio, it's like literally like $2 a week, $2.50 or $2.50 a week to be part of that. Check out the pinned comment down there. It is a no-brainer. You could literally get to see every single move I'm making, exactly the portfolio in detail, and exactly how I build a portfolio. It's like literally it's a no-brainer, especially if you've been, like, I don't care if you've been investing for 20 years, you've been investing for 2 months, okay? You want to be part of that Patreon to be able to see how I build out this account over time. But I take the same exact approach. GVD 1, 2, 3, growth value dividends, doesn't add a lot of stress to my life. Like, build up the portfolio, make great returns, and call it a day. And I'm not going to get super greedy around pricing. If a stock's a good price, I'm buying the stock. If the stock's undervalued from where I think that company's going to be in 3 years from now, 5 years from now, I'm buying the stock. I'm not saying, oh gosh, Meta's, I don't know, $180. And yeah, I think it's going to 400 over the next few years, but it might go to 175 next week. So I'll just wait to buy it next week at 175. Like, no, okay. No, that's not how real investors play this game. That's not how you're just going to create lower returns likely for yourself and more stress on your shoulders. Don't play that game. Play it from the long side and the intelligent side. You get a great deal, take advantage of the deal. You get a better deal, great, take advantage of that deal as well. If you get a better deal a few months from now or a few weeks from now, that's phenomenal, okay? Always have more income than expenses. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, I appreciate every single person that subscribed to the channel. Make sure you join us in Patreon. That is a no-brainer. That will be pinned comment down there. And have a great day.